We're very fortunate right now at Osage is that we have several deals under letter of intent and in due diligence. And a couple things came up over the last week that I wanted to share with you. Has nothing to do with the external interaction between the buyer and the seller. It actually has to do with internal. Welcome back to this week's Big Hurdle. My name's kdee, President of Osage Advisors. And what I'm talking about is the internal negotiations around stay bonuses for key employees. At Osage, we always recommend early in the process, even maybe before you go to market, depending on the kind of business and who the key employees are, i.e. family members or not, is to think about the value proposition and what these people have brought to you over time. Delaying it, postponing it, procrastinating it, could cause some internal strife with the key employees, which you don't want to have because these people are going to be important to the business and a new buyer. So what happened was this week, and there's a couple situations. One was fairly easy to resolve. The other one took a little work in the negotiation. So we have a client selling, and she has a key employee, been with her for 20, maybe 25 years, and she let them know early on that she's doing a deal, right, and that she's going to take care of them, right. She's going to make you added a lot of value, and I'm going to pay you X. Okay, so. We're deep in due diligence right now and under LOI, and she gets a knock on the door, and he comes in and says, "Hey, just want to let you know that been approached by another company about coming in for another job. That's actually a promotion, and it's very interesting to me, and I want to talk it out with you." And she's looking at it and said, "Well, I can't let this guy go right now. He's too important, too critical to my team." So, we talked, she called me up, we talked it through, and I say, incentivize him a little bit more than you have. I said, make it worth his while to stay there because we're talking about a sizable transaction here for you. We're talking about a sizable transaction for him and what he could reap rewards for it. So we went back and said, look, we really need you to stay. I offered you this. I'm willing to do X, Y, Z. If you were to stay on post-closing as part of the deal, everything was satisfied. It worked out well. But that communication stream was, I'd say it was quick, it was efficient, it was timely, and it was well received by this key employee. Okay, so we resolved that one. Now, again, the stay bonus concept is something that is out there on every deal. And there's multiple different ways of looking at it, depending on who the key people are, family members or not. This next situation that came up this week was a little more, let's say, confrontational, testy a little bit. The key employees in this situation had requested a while back that they be some kind of reward for their participation, value add they brought to the business. And the business has done okay. I wouldn't say done great, but it's done okay. And the owner said, "Look, okay, let me review this. Let me get back to you." I mean, there was incentive plans in place already. If the business performed X, Y, and Z, which they weren't going to hit their goals, so that incentive is obviously not going to be paid. And these employees came back and asked for X and Y. There's two key people, and which was to our client's position a bit, what I would say, too much for them. As I say, it wouldn't make it. It took too much of a hit on cash flow from the sale. They thought it was a bit of an overreach, so they called us and they wanted to talk through it. And one of the concerns was with the one of the key employees was what happens if I get terminated, right? Now, in the LOI, we negotiated that the buyer is going to look to hire, these two key employees post-closing. So I think his concern is that, if after a couple months into it, I don't know these people, even though I'm getting to know them now, if things don't work out, do I have enough money to live on until I find another job? People are, it's a natural instinct, a natural reaction. You're going into some kind of unknown environment. So what we negotiated was, and they accepted, is that, look, we're going to pay X, UX, UY, and for any reason, if you're terminated from the position, not for cause, but just terminated in the ordinary course of business in a certain time frame, then we will write you a check for X. Okay? So that actually was acceptable. It worked out. So we kind of diffused it. And it's important because these are two critical positions. And the buyer is going to rely heavily on each post-closing. So we wanted to get this resolved in a manner that it was acceptable for all parties, because last thing you want to happen is this kind of spill into the conversation with the buyer. What ends up happening is, as you know, is that if the buyer sees there's internal conflicts, it's going to raise a skepticism on the deal and whether or not they can rely on management post-closing, which is critical to a deal. If they feel that this is going to be an issue, unresolved issue, and that they're going to, let's say the key employees harbor some kind of resentment, ill will, negativity, they may just put their pen down and say, look, we like the company, we like this, but we don't have faith that you guys can close. So I think it's important. I guess the takeaway here is, on this week's Big Hurdle, the takeaway is that, stay bonuses are important. You don't get where you are today. Most people don't get where they are without the team behind them. And if all owners want to, reward their key employers, if not all their employees, for helping them get to this position where they're able to exit their business on their terms. So our advice is, and recommendation, and to consider, it's your business, is that, have these conversations early on with your key employees, so you avoid this internal strife, that puts anxiety, stress on you. And last thing you want to do is to open up the curtain and let that spill over into to who the buyer is, understand what's going on behind that, because it could, end up, killing the deal. So that's this week's Big Hurdle. If you enjoy it, you can listen to it or on our podcast, The Ins and Outs in Selling a Business. If you like it, you can subscribe to our channel. Again, my name's Keith D, President of Osage Advisors. Any questions regarding state bonuses and how to structure them and their value, feel free to email me at kdee@osageadvisors.com. To learn more about our firm, you can visit our website at osageadvisors.com, or feel free to pick up the phone and give me a call at 860-767-3273, extension 1001. Thanks again for being with us today, and have a great day.